In this video, we react to Star Trek Strange New Worlds Season 2, Episode 4. Welcome back to Eat, Sleep, Nerd. In this video, we are reviewing and discussing and reacting to and debating, maybe, I don't know, Star Trek Strange New Worlds Season 2, Episode 4, the episode titled Among the Lotus Eaters. I am your dorky DJ, Corey Winter, and joining me, as always, is my nerdy brother, Josh Winter, and our geeky friend, Christian James.
Forget pro spoilers.
All right, just diving right in. Jason's not here. He'll be back next week, hopefully, but we got another episode of Star Trek. Yay!
Woo!
Woo!
Yes.
Yes!
Yes.
Woo! Yes!
It's kind of exciting.
Yeah? Why?
I mean, as a new Trekkie or a new Trekker, is that what it is?
Jason keeps saying that Trekker is an accepted term. I've literally never seen that anywhere.
You guys got mad at me for saying Trekker like a year ago.
I was chewed out for calling it a Trekkie.
So what's the proper term?
Yeah.
I've always heard Trekkie.
Yeah, me too.
All right, you people out there.
Yes, leave a comment.
Trekker or Trekkie?
Yeah, which
I've
one
never
is
even
it?
heard Trekker before.
Is it both?
I thought I just made it up. I don't know. So.
Now, as a new person to Star Trek,
Jason used the term Trekker, but I feel like maybe he was just called a Trekkie as a young child and he took it the wrong way. And so he made up a word for it. I don't know. Maybe not. Maybe it's an accepted term and I've just never seen it. But as far as I'm aware, it's Trekkies.
Trekkie.
Yeah.
Trekkies.
Okay.
Well, enough of that.
Yeah.
Let's get into the show. So I'm just going to go ahead and raise the flag or the siren. We got some spoilers inbound for this episode of Star Trek Strange New Worlds. So if you have not seen it yet, beware, there are spoilers abound. But with that in mind, let's go ahead and just dive right in. How did you guys feel about this episode?
Well, first, the biggest spoiler is no one ate a lotus.
Yeah.
It's actually a nonsensical title. I don't
There's
really know where they got that.
Yeah.
Maybe that's a reference that I just don't get.
I was wondering if I was the only one that didn't pick up on that.
Yeah.
So the official synopsis says, returning to a planet that dredges up tragic memories, Captain Pike and his landing party find themselves forgetting everything, including their own identities, as he confronts a ghost from his past. Lotus Eaters. Lotus Eaters. Maybe that's a double meaning something. I don't know. It doesn't matter. So how'd you guys feel about this episode?
It was good. It continued the trend of being very episodic, which again, there was that one article that came out before the series started where someone said it's really not all that episodic. It's episodic. It's an episodic show. It's still an episodic show. I don't know. It was all the good things that we've come to expect from this.
Mm-hmm.
I will say that I remember actively thinking halfway through the episode, every character on this show is strong. Like, there's no character that I don't care about.
I got halfway
exactly.
through the episode. I was like, who am I going to make the background for this episode? Because it was like everyone was getting some time in the spotlight.
Yeah. I was about to say that to you. I was like, I wonder who we're going to put up.
Yeah.
But, I guess we saw Erica the most.
Yeah.
I think she had the biggest moment.
She was the hero. She saved the day.
She got the hero moment.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you were right. Why do I keep saying that? We were discussing in the beginning of the episode, like where she was getting crapped on. Like she was going to go on the mission. And you're like, nah, you fly this ship instead of the other one. And then
Poor you have to fly the Enterprise.
She was so excited to go down and join the crew.
Yeah, I get it. Different is better. Different is always exciting.
She had to take.
She was so excited.
She had to go down to the sick bay. It was like, no, I've flown this ship before. I flew this before you. Wow. And then you were right. In the end, she was like, I am the pilot.
Yeah. She got to have the hero moment. And that was good.
I hope this is not her solo, like her character focused episode, because she didn't really get that much screen time. So if this is like the only episode she gets this season, it's kind of sad.
Yeah. I almost feel like I mean, I guess this episode would also like highlight that she's an essential player in the whole cast. Maybe that might come back around.
You can be essential without being central, though.
Yeah.
So, I mean, at the end of the day, she is a supporting character. So, yeah, I'm with you. I like her character. I would be okay if she had an episode where she got a bigger focus, but I don't know if that's something you should hold out hope for.
I'm just saying, I like her.
I mean,
she's cool.
Of course, like you said before, we need to see more Pike.
And we got to see more Pike.
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 More Pike.
All right.
And then he immediately forgot who he was.
Yeah, so we're just jumping all around. So let's actually get into it, since I guess we're not going to do a big overview. So,
Well, no, I mean, okay. So my overview would be: it was a good episode. I have no intention of dumping down my score. I don't know if it's going to be a standout episode by the end of the season.
I disagree, because I liked that. Like, by the time you got halfway through the episode, you were like, "Oh my god, who's going to save everybody?" Because like everyone's affected now. No one knows who they are anymore. So I like that there was like a big doom and gloom episode. Like,
You liked it.
all hope is lost.
I mean, that's mostly what you see from Star Trek. Like, start the episode, they find the peril. They are perilled.
They are imperiled.
They seem perilous. And then it resolves itself. And it's an excellent episode.
Because it's episodic.
And I wouldn't necessarily agree it's not episodic, though, because we still have some overarching things playing into it, like Pike's relationship with what's her name? I always forget her name.
It's still episodic, though.
I mean, yeah.
Captain Batal, by the way.
Sure. All right, so let's just get into it. So, kicking off the episode, we had the Enterprise giving some assistance to another Starfleet ship, which just so happened to be
Captain Batal's.
Captain Patal's ship.
I thought they were saying Patel the whole time.
No, it's Batal. Batal.
Interesting. Anyway.
The other captain. So, which led us right into them having a little date night, which was kind of cute, because we right into them having a little cooking session, which was just
very Captain Pikey.
Captain Pikey, yeah. So that led into their big breakup. Dun, dun, dun. Pike encountered his. I need you guys to like.
I mean, I think they were on a break, really. If you know, you know.
Why would you? Okay. No, I mean, I don't. I mean, I feel like when you're in the service like that, your relationship is tenuous at best. I feel like you're in a relationship when you have time to be in a relationship. And so, I don't know.
Like, I get where he was coming from, like, but of course, that's his own self-doubt that he could make it work. But at the same time, you knew what you two were getting into in the end. So it's like, why not work it out?
Yeah. And how complicated is it when you know that you essentially die in a few years?
Oh, does she know? Do you think she knows?
No, because he kept telling her it's classified.
Interesting.
It's a throwback. Episode 1. But so I don't know. I mean, I'll be honest. I didn't like that they kind of sort of got back together at the end.
Wow.
Yeah, I would have liked it for it to like carry on a little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow. You guys are heartless.
Yeah. I'm not heartless. I just think from a narrative standpoint, that should have lingered.
Okay.
I don't like that it wrapped up so quickly.
All right, so let's get into the actual meat of the plot. So Rigel 7, the planet that they've apparently been to in the past. Was this something that was already canon, or is this the first we're hearing of it?
I mean, you got to remember, most of Captain Pike's adventures have not been covered before. That's the whole premise of the show. So that being said, we know that this is not the beginning of his tenure on the Enterprise. And so at some point, they had an assignment there, went wrong, they had to evacuate quickly and get out of there. And they have realized that their assumption being equipment left behind has tainted the developing planet and broken the Prime Directive, which is you will not have undue influence on a species that is developing on its own. And so they have to go down there, and Captain Pike basically just says it, they clean up their own mess. And hence the return to the planet. Yes.
All right. All right.
Yeah.
So on that previous mission, they lost members of their crew, which is why this was so such an undertaking for them to actually go back to this place, because the last time they were there didn't go so well. So we saw the 3 members that they did lose on that mission. Fast forwarding a little bit, one of those members actually did not die, and he was actually still left behind on that planet. So, womp womp. Little mess up right there, Starfleet.
I mean, did they know about the planet beforehand?
No, okay. So when they got there, they discussed that the atmosphere had an intense level of radiation that prevented deep scanning. So they couldn't really tell what was going on. And in fact, the only reason they had any idea that these locals had started using or at least referencing Starfleet equipment is they did it the old-fashioned way, which is the way we do it. They literally just do flybys and take pictures. That's all they can do.
Yeah.
And they noticed that the Delta insignia was on a lot of stuff, which is obviously a no-go if you're trying to not influence a developing thing. So that's the same reason why they did not know that it was dangerous down on the planet, because they couldn't get a scan in the first place. So they did an exploratory landing and it all went to crap. And they had to get out of there. So yeah.
But yeah, I love the stakes there, because it's amazing that, like, it's sort of those sort of missions, like especially in real life, that you just kind of have to get out. You never know what's going to happen. You leave somebody behind. That happens all the time, and
happens all the time.
Most of the times.
Oh, most of the time.
Especially
it happens every time, apparently.
In times of peril.
Okay. Cool. All right. So they get to the planet and we see the little party they brought with them. So it's Captain Pike, M'Benga, and Noonien Singh. She starts getting this ringing in her head, which was just super freaking annoying because they kept bringing it back and it was so freaking loud. It made Danny freak out. So I wish they had cut that down a little bit lower, but whatever.
It's immersive. It brings you into the experience.
It's annoying. Made me want to turn it off. So
imagine how they felt.
She experienced a loss of time. We kind of find out 6 hours loss of time. So we start seeing that the things are not going so well. It starts spreading to the entire crew on the Enterprise. Starts spreading to Captain Pike and M'Benga. Kind of find out they think it's the planet that's causing some kind of distress. So
I wonder, like, how it did go on Enterprise. So, they were, like Josh said, like, they were in orbit, yes, but like,
I thought they pretty well explained it. It wasn't the planet; it was the asteroids.
Yeah.
So the Enterprise backs out of orbit because they're starting to experience the symptoms. Mm-hmm. Little do they know they're actually going into the thing that's making everyone sick. And what made everyone on the planet experience that was they had a very large asteroid impact from that ring, which is why at the end of the episode they pull it out and chuck it away, so that maybe these folks can have a chance.
Which is why
real life,
the crew member that was left behind, who became the king, he explained that inside that building it was like protected. I think he said it was built by metal. That
was some
whatever metal they used shielded the radiation, and so did their wearing the helmets.
Yeah. The tinfoil
or his his big old obscenely large crown.
Yeah. What else? I mean, honestly, not
like the premise is. I think the reason why it's difficult to talk about is because the premise is really simple.
Yeah. They lost their memories.
They go someplace and they can't remember who they are, which brings in the theme of, if you don't remember who you are you still who you are? And I think the answer is essentially yes. Although they made, I think, a pretty good argument for maybe that's not the case. Because on the one hand, you had the leader of the field workers who explained that even though he had blacked out his tattoos that told him who he was and what he lost and things like that, he still felt the sorrow. He still felt everything. Because fundamentally, at your core, those are things you cannot change.
Yeah.
Something that affects who you are at the center cannot easily be undone. As an argument for you are who you are, who you are. On the flip side, at the end of the episode, when Pike goes ham on the king in a pretty decent action sequence, he is completely ready to kill the king.
Yeah.
Until he regains his senses, because he's been in the palace long enough that the radiation is starting to deplete from his mind. And so that kind of works against that theme of you are who you are. But I kind of like the point that it raises instead, because it's a very Star Trekian point. You are who you are. And part of who you are should be the desire to be better than who you are.
Yes.
So in his natural self, uninfluenced by any memories of his entire life, his instinct was to kill this person who had wronged him. But also, equally who he is his life experiences. And because of who he is, he would not do that. He is better than that.
Yeah.
So it's a counterpoint that I think completes the symbolism. Yes, you are who you are. It's nature versus nurture, right?
Right.
You are who you are, but you can't ignore the part of how you were brought up and who you are choosing to be. It's two halves of the same coin. So, yeah, like I said, it's a difficult episode to talk about because the premise is really simple. But it was also riveting.
Well, I actually do want to talk about a few things. So in that fight scene you're bringing up at the end of the episode where he discovers or where he starts to get his memory back, in that fight scene the fight scene you mentioned where he like enters the like dining hall, whatever it was, where he's like having a little shootout.
The main hall.
He like picks up the platter and like uses it as a shield while also still firing his gun. That was awesome.
Yeah.
And that really like shows me too, is like, as I guess Pike is a new character to the Star Trek world.
He's not new. So he's literally the first character ever.
He was in the pilot of the original series.
Correct.
Right
so they made the pilot. It had Captain Pike as the captain of the Enterprise. A lot of the supporting characters were still the same. Like, for example, Leonard Nimoy Spock was still there. It was all part of it. And the network originally passed on it. By the time Lucille Ball, of all people, helped convince and pay for the show to go to order, when there was time to bring back the actor for Captain Pike, he had committed to other things.
Yeah.
And then he was kind of willing to not do it if they were willing to pay more money, but like they were struggling to get this paid for in the first place and they couldn't really do it. And they liked this guy called William Shatner, but they really didn't want to completely refilm the first episode. And so they changed a few things and we ended up with Kirk. But a few episodes later, they actually decided that original pilot was canon. And it did happen. It just took place before these adventures. And they actually brought back the character of Captain Pike, which, if you read into it, like his circumstances play out exactly like he thinks they're going to. But he does end up with a happy ending, and it's a very Star Trekian thing, and it's worth seeing. Even if you don't want to watch the original series, just to see how Captain Pike's story ends, it's really cool. So anyway, that was a long way to say he's actually the original Star Trek captain.
Well, that's awesome.
Yeah.
So yeah, within watching the first season until now, and then seeing those parallels with how he acts and how he decides on things, and when he loses his mind, he goes straight into that soldier like, training, but then realizes, that's you see what makes him him.
Yeah.
And how he decides things, because he thinks on a tactical level, but also morally at the same time.
Well, so that's what the nurse was explaining. I always forget her name. Nurse
Chapel.
That's what she was explaining, is that even if you lose your memory, you'll remember some of the more simple things. Like she'll remember how to like tend to wounds and stuff, but she'll forget the more complex things about how to like do surgery and stuff.
The things that have become second nature.
Yes.
You wouldn't forget.
Right.
Because you've done them a million times. It's basically muscle memory at that
Which
point.
is why Ortega remembered how to pilot the
ship.
Enterprise when she remembered that she was a pilot.
Yeah.
So I do like that.
It was a neat concept.
Yeah.
It was what happens to characters if you strip away all the things that you've been told about them. How do they act?
And apparently Pike is James Bond.
True. Very true. Honestly, I do want to just give a shout out to the Reed Birney. Birney? Is that how you pronounce his last name? The actor that played the guy that came across actually helped him to find their way back to their memories. We recognized him from House of Cards. He was the Secretary of Education. It was Education.
Yeah.
So it was nice to see him. I haven't seen him in a while.
He's understated.
Yeah.
And it makes him really good. Like, it makes it easy to believe what he's saying because he's not over the top. He's very subdued. It just feels natural.
And he was phenomenal in this episode because at the end of the episode, when they got the memories back, when we first see him again, he's devastated because he has remembered the family that he lost.
Yeah.
That actually tied back into his conversation with Pike about, he was asking about the little necklace he had. It's like, is that your loved one? He was like, it's someone I knew to apologize to. So I liked him. I liked that he was in this episode.
Oh, yeah, that whole little scene, I was giving finger snaps in my head. I was like, you better work.
All right. All right. So honestly, not a lot of groundbreaking things happen in this episode. So
yeah, just this Star Trek episode, Star Trek.
Yeah.
And I'm happy with it.
Yeah, I was pretty happy with it too. So yeah, let's go and wrap it up. No need to beat a dead horse. So obviously Jason's not here, so we're just going to leave his score alone. But as a reminder, since this is a relatively episodic show, we are scoring each episode individually, then averaging everything together to give us an overall score for the entirety of season 2 as we watch more and more. So at the moment, Eat Sleep Nerd has been giving this second season of Star Trek Strange New Worlds a 4.5. So after this 4th episode, how are we scoring episode 4? Josh can go first for once.
Well, like it's like I said before, like and I think it's evident in this recording. It's kind of a weird episode to try to talk about, but at the same time, it was really good, and I enjoyed it. But I think I'm going to stick with what I said before. I'm not going to lower my score. It's still a 5 because there's nothing I would change about this episode. I thought it was great, but at the same time, this is going to be that episode when I'm rewatching the season later and I get to it, I'm going to be like, oh yeah, this was an episode. You know? Like, it wasn't bad. It was really good. It was a great Star Trek episode.
Oh yeah.
But like, this is one that would be difficult to stand around the water cooler and talk about.
Clearly. Yep.
So, I mean, like, it is what it is. It was great. And it doesn't deserve to bring down the show, so I'm leaving it at a 5.
I think it's worth more of a conversation about why you can't talk about it, though. Like, why are we having such a hard time talking about it, having just enjoyed it so much?
Yeah, like every one of us clearly liked it, but at the same time, like I don't.
Are we sleepy? Did
mean,
we lose our memory?
I just don't know what to.
Well, yeah.
Say
What more could you expand on?
I guess
there was. Touched?
I guess there was no eventful thing. Like, no one died. No one.
Yeah, I mean, it was
impactful event that's going to affect later episodes.
Other than them dragging it along, seeing with the open wound.
So I mean,
they took their sweet old time to address her injury.
Well, they probably kept forgetting that it was a thing.
Oh yeah! Oh my god! This episode.
So no, I mean, like it's. I also imagine that like the script for it was very thin because it's a very action-driven episode, which I think is another one of the reasons why it's a little harder to talk about. Because all you can say is, and then they, and then they, and then they. Like there was not. I
guess there weren't really any big takeaways.
There was only
except for the moral of,
are you who you are?
Yeah.
If you can't remember who you are, and it's like I said, there's nothing. There's just not a lot to discuss because all they did was put them in a simple problem.
Yeah.
They had to get out of it. It involved very little discussion. It was just deciding what to do, and then they did it. Like, it's really simple. There was not a lot really happened, but it was good. It was still fun to watch.
I'm going to keep it at a 5, or I guess give this episode a 5, because I think at the core of it, I liked that it was the Star Trek episode that had a mystery. Like, what was causing the memory loss? What was causing all of this? So I like that it was a big mystery episode.
Yeah.
But at the same time, they spent so much time trying to get out of the problem that we didn't really get to mysterize the mystery.
Yeah, like, why was this asteroid able to erase memories? Yeah.
Or even, like, we literally just found out at the end because they told us, oh, that's what it was. Oh, it's the asteroid.
It did happen very suddenly.
Yeah. And so, which I mean is fine. Like, that has happened a billion times on Star Trek. But like I said, there was so much focus on just dealing with the issue. We didn't really get to talk about the issue.
Yeah.
That's what it was. Like, typically,
like if there was a negative point, that's it.
Yeah. So like typically, especially in Star Trek, but pretty much any TV show or movie, when you discover that there's a problem, you're working towards finding the problem for a good portion of the story. Once you discover what the problem or the root of the problem is, then you have to work to solve that problem. But in this episode, there wasn't really the time spent solving the problem. It was just all of a sudden solved.
Yeah. We just got to get to this thing and then it'll work.
Yeah.
And that's what they did.
So I guess that's a little weird in retrospect.
Yeah.
But I'm not going to demean it for that. I'm gonna
No,
keep
like I
that
said,
above.
like it's only a problem if that kept me from enjoying it or I felt cheapened by the experience, which I don't.
Yeah.
So, like I said, this is the kind of episode where if I had had a lower score for the season, it would not have raised the season. But at the same time, there's nothing I would have changed about this episode. So I see no reason to lower my score for the season. So yeah.
Fair enough. And, for me, like the past 3 episodes have been phenomenal.
Yeah.
In retrospect. But, I can't remember what I scored for last
You've
time.
given it a 4, 5, and a 4 so far for the first 3 episodes.
I have to keep it in brand, but I have to give it a 5.
Yeah, there it is. Just because it's a pattern, or
Not just because of the pattern, but like I said, the last 3 episodes have just been fantastic. Just to watch and experience and be immersed in Starfleet. So
okay. Well, without changing Jason's score, that doesn't change our overall score for this season too much. It's still a 4.56 now. We went up 0.04 points or 0.6 points. So whatever, math. So solid episode. I guess we're all giving it a 5.
Yeah,
good episode. Yeah, highly recommend. That's all there is to say about that, I guess.
Yeah. I got it.
That's how the
All
cookie
right.
crumbles.
So obviously we're going to be coming back every single week to do more reaction videos for this show. We have 6 more episodes left. It's a 10-episode season, right?
I believe so.
Yes, every week. So come back every Friday after you watch the new episode to see what all there is to say about it. Hopefully there's more next week.
Yep. I don't know what to tell you, man.
Yeah.
Like,
It did the thing.
it did the thing. It was a fun time. So
they trekked stars.
yeah, we tricked the stars. So be sure to keep coming back to youtube.com/@EatSleepNerd to catch this series of videos, as well as our other content, such as our Secret Invasion reaction videos airing every Thursday, our podcast episodes on Tuesday, and some more movie reviews coming out on some Mondays this month and leading into August. So
Movie Monday.
in the meantime, keep nerding out.